Alright, so I'm going to run you through a few things to get started with just getting your new scene started and set up in an ideal way for working in Poser, because the default scene is okay, but there's things you can do to make your life easier. Start by deleting the figure. So a lot of these panels, I'll just get rid of the ones I don't need. Like, I never look at renders. I never use these. All these camera controls, you can get to them up here as well. What's that? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Anyways, so I just close that. Lights, I'll usually make this float, and oops, I turn off the drag docking enabled on all of the panels because it really easily screws up the whole interface. So if you have a layout you like, you don't want to accidentally mess that up. And I'll use the shortcuts when I need lights. Control Shift I think it is, yeah. So I'll usually just keep that hidden until I need it. But also, getting rid of that big icon, you can then squish this over to give a little more space. UI dots, you can do it for, I don't know why would you want it for pose or camera. I'll just get rid of those. I don't use them. They cause more problems than not. So yeah, turn off the cannot speak. For the library, usually I keep that floating, and I have more than one monitor, so like I usually just keep that off the screen for space, because I like to have the whole screen dedicated to what I'm working on as much as possible. But let's see, let me add a figure. So you can find documentation on this. I won't go into it, but pretty much each one of these folders is a runtime. They call it runtime for some reason. Like within there's a library folder or libraries. You can look at the ones that it comes with just to get an idea of the folder hierarchy, and you can create your own like I have. So it's like it got figures, poses, hand shapes, lights, all this stuff, and this is pretty much yeah. So I'll just add a figure. They call the characters figures in Poser world. Did it work? Did it? Nope, it's still loading. I don't want to crash it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to move this off the screen for now. One thing I do want to bring up though for the setup is hierarchy. Usually I keep this one off the screen too, like or on the second screen, just right over here. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to dock those things in the screen. Wait, can I do it? Yes, okay. And then animation palette, Control Shift V brings that up or hides it. Again, for this, like usually I keep this on the second monitor, but I'll keep it over here for now. As well as a graph editor. Ooh, that showed up in the other one. Rump. I would end up working with this a lot if I was on a laptop, like a single screen computer, but whatever. For now, this will have to do. Alright, so getting started with setup. Well, we already started, but Control Shift Y brings up render dimensions, and this will create a letterbox. If you go to click this thing, uncheck constraints, and I'll generally set it to 1080p dimensions, and then put this back on, and then you see letterboxes. So whatever you render, it's going to be within those letterboxes, no matter like how the screen shape adjusts. Oh right, okay. Cameras. By default, all of the cameras have animation. So if you in the hierarchy, click Show Cameras, and then click the first one, go to Properties, and you'll see animation and undo. Like, we don't want any of this stuff on for the cameras other than what we're working on, because like every little motion you do, it creates a keyframe, and don't want that. So just uncheck those, and you can arrow through all of these. So I'll keep Dolly camera on because that's the one we usually render with. But all the other ones, just arrow through them and turn everything off. Oops. And then I don't know what the shadow cam lights are, but they always exist in Poser. I just turn it off for those two, whatever it is. Okay, now let's go back to Dolly cam, and it still has the main camera selected, as you can see here. I don't know why it... Okay, I think up here is the selection, but here is the active camera. To switch to Dolly cam, you could go to, if you go to display, camera view, I would recommend memorizing these hotkeys if you can. But yeah, control / goes to Dolly cam. And the Dolly cam is awesome because you pivot from your center point, like the camera center point. By default, it's way too sensitive and easy to, it's really hard to do anything subtle. So Monty showed me, just go through roll, pitch, and yaw, double click it, and switch it from 1 to 0.1. And this makes it a lot easier to manage. And also for yawn, that's basically camera clipping, as you can see. We'll switch. I'll put that to max because I've never noticed any dip in performance from having that maxed out. So might as well just let it see as far as it can see at all times. Let's see, focal length. You can put that to whatever you want. Generally, 35 is fine. I like to work at 24 a lot. I'll adjust it as needed. It just depends on the shot you're working on. Sometimes I've gone as low as like 11 for like a more dynamic anime, whatever. What am I talking about? Okay, so just, you can memorize these settings as the new default. So if you go to edit, memorize, and click camera, or you can do the hotkeys. Make sure you have the right camera selected and everything for that. But now if we reset the camera, restore, these are good hotkeys to remember too, because you can restore your whole figure to default, like if it's all in a mangle or whatever. Control Shift F will bring it back, or Control Shift E, even though it says for objects, this works for individual parts. Like, it's really nice. Where was I? Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, Control J opens this screen up. I don't remember where it is up here, but I know the hotkey. So once you open that, go to render settings and then down to preview, and this affects your preview window, like what you're seeing at all times. And I'll turn MIP map off so we can see the actual textures, and this is texture resolution limiting. I'll usually bump that up at least to 4K. Any texture that's bigger than that number, it kind of crunches it down and filters it and it looks messed up. So I usually just, I would rather see what is actually there. And then transparency, just switch that to actual. Turn that on. I think I keep these on. Maybe I keep them off. I don't remember. Anyways, turn this off. I usually work with hardware shading off. The more accurate shadows, I can't talk at all. If I'm animating, I'll, at least while animating, keep that off because you can get much better performance, like playback performance, and I'd rather see everything in real time instead of janky, laggy frames. So yeah. And I guess the only other things would be, let's see. If you go to preferences, make sure to set preferred scene, or click this button, and interface. Usually I leave it on previous state. Colorblind, it basically turns this green. That's the normal poser color. Really the only reason I switched to this was because I saw Monty doing it. I didn't even know it existed there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I've just done it ever since, for the heck of it. It doesn't hurt anything. Make sure this is off. You don't want that on because everything animates in poser. So like, if you roll the mouse wheel, it's actually creating keyframes when you do this, depending on the camera that you have selected. But generally you just want that off so you don't make a mistake and mess your beautiful camera animation. Yeah, I don't think, I usually stick to poser units as well. I don't know why. It probably doesn't matter that much, but whatever. I think that's about it. Like, that's the beautiful default scene. I do have my own scene that I kept with the background box, so I'll replace it with that a lot of times, just so I have the checkers and the, you know, my uggles. It's kind of fun though. Oh no, I added too many. What have I done? Oh my, I got rid of everything. Oh sweet, I actually brought back the old ground plane. It used to be this grid, but they switched it with it that, anyway, I just did undo and it actually replaced the file with the old one and kept it. That's cool. That's another temp background. Okay, I'm getting so distracted now. I'm like I don't even know why I'm making this video anymore. Okay. Poser's fun. When you learn how to use it, it gets really fun when you can make your own models. Like, most people use either Blender or Maya, and you just make your own models. Like, that's a whole different topic I'm not going to get into, because it's not that complicated. It can be a pain, like, to create your own characters. You basically create groups, and anyways, there's a lot of tutorials on it. I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, good luck. Don't like or subscribe unless you want to. I don't really have consistent content or anything, and I'm not a YouTuber, but hopefully this is found helpful, and definitely feel free to ask questions. I'm not a master at all of this, but I'll answer questions if it's something I know. And yeah, okay, bye. One more thing. Right after I finished the video, Poser crashed on me when I closed it, and I noticed there was a bug that they fixed it in 13, but it still exists in 12, where when you go from a factory reset and then save a new preferred state, for some reason creating that save state, I guess Poser doesn't like it, so it crashes on close. And it happened every single time I restarted the video because I kept messing up and restarting it. But if you just open it again after it crashes and fix your scene up, because it messed up some of the windows, like the panels and stuff. I just fixed it and then tried saving state again, and that time it didn't crash. So maybe it's only the initial time. So if you get that crash, just open Poser, try to fix it, and then save state again, and then just close it. And if it doesn't crash that time, you should be good to go. So hopefully that helps if you run into the problem. Alrighty, bye.